Hey everyone, John with 1732's Freedom Circuit. You can follow us on Rumble and YouTube at 1732 Streaming. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Streaming John. And you can also follow us on Twitch for some of my gaming stuff at JK1732A, but we don't put Freedom Circuit on there. It doesn't get a lot of traction there, which is okay. That's a gaming platform. So we got a show for you guys today. We got some updates, and then we also got some new things going on here. So our list today, we're going to do Supreme Court rogue judges. We're going to hit that today. And we're going to do politics, Trump versus Spanberger here. That's going to be interesting here. We got some updates here about Spanberger here in Virginia and Jay Jones. We're also going to talk about some AI stuff, AI censorship, and the all popular now Venezuela tanker that we have seized off the coast of Venezuela here. So we're going to go over all that today. And yeah, let's go ahead and get the show started here. So let's go ahead and start with the rogue judges here. So the Supreme Court, as we all know here, that we have a lot of judges that have been trying to block a lot of things that the administration has been doing. So one of the things that, maybe you didn't pay attention to, or maybe you did, I don't know, is that back in, I believe it was June or July, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date, the Supreme Court moved where justices moved sharply to limit nationwide injunctions so a single district judge can't freeze federal policies for the entire country. So they did actually pass that. And you still see judges trying to block things, but now the Supreme Court has said that they can't do that. There's appropriate processes to go through. So that's a win, for the right. But yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. Hopefully that holds out. Specifically, Trump versus CASA. The court has already moved to sharply limit nationwide injunctions, clipping the wings of single district judges who used to freeze entire federal policies. That's a good thing, right? So we saw it all the time. We saw that he can't send troops into the cities, the National Guard and stuff like that. At what point do you say local judges are not in charge of the entire nation, right? I mean, a district court judge in let's say Richmond City can't tell the entire nation how things work, right? That's not what they're there for. They're supposed to enforce the law, not create the law. That's the job of Congress and the people, right? So, that's a win. That's a good thing. I don't know if you guys have been following that. I kind of have been following that, but I'm kind of glad to see those updates. And I really, I'm glad to see that. So that's kind of a win there. But let's talk about some of these other things that are going on here in the Supreme Court. So you have Trump versus Slaughter, kind of testing how much power Trump has to fire officials and independent agencies like the FTC, and potentially giving the White House far more direct control over regulators. So that's kind of a talking point, right? If they're not a private agency, they work for the federal government. There's no questions in my mind. The president should be able to fire somebody or his representatives, because they work for the government, they work for the people, and those who we elected them to make those changes at the end of the day. So I don't have a problem with that. The question comes, private agencies. Does he have the power over the private agencies to do that? And, that's kind of a tough subject, right? At the end of the day. So if they're a federal contractor, I would say yes. And that's, I think that if you work, essentially you're working for the government at that point. You're taking subsidies, you're taking money from the government. So in my opinion, yes, they should be able to be removed. And specifically in this case, the FEC. So, I don't know what you guys think about that. Let me know, drop some comments on that. What do you think? At the end of the day. So like if it's McDonald's, obviously he shouldn't have a say in that, right? That is a private company with no government ties at that point. But if it's the FEC, who is, a federal contractor, I think that opens up a whole other world. I've always said I'm not going to tell you I work for. I'm still not going to, but we are a federal contractor, and I can tell you that we do have to abide by federal mandates. So we're still a private company, but at the same time, we do have to follow those mandates because we do take money from the federal government and all that good stuff. So, let me know what you guys think on that. I think it's completely appropriate at the end of the day. I don't have a problem with it. That's what we voted for, so I'm good with it. So again, people trying to interfere with the administration. It's just unacceptable, right? They try to throw injunctions, they try to get involved, they try to throw sanctions, all this crazy stuff. We voted for these things to happen, and it is within the administration's power to do this. So we need to let it happen at the end of the day. And I think it is going to happen, right? The the Supreme Court's already shown that, they don't really have a tolerance for local governments and stuff like that interfering with the national politics, right? The local government's supposed to take care of itself, right? So like Richmond City is supposed to take care of itself. We have representatives in the state of Virginia that are supposed to fight on our behalf at the national level, and that's what we need to be doing. So I'm good with that so far. So that's kind of, keep an eye on these judges. I still see them trying to interfere, but it kind of seems like the Supreme Court has neutered them a little bit and has really messed up, their process of trying to interfere with the administration. So just keep an eye on that. Keep watching that. If you see any special cases you want me to take a look at, I'm not a lawyer by any means, but I'm happy to look at them and talk about them. And, drop some comments in there if you don't mind. Drop a comment on if you have anything you want me to look at specifically. I really would appreciate it. And I forgot to tell you in my introduction here to do me a favor and like and share. Follow us on all of our platforms if you don't mind. That helps us out quite a bit. And when you drop comments and stuff like that and share everything, it really helps content creators like myself. I really want to keep the show going. It's actually become a passion of mine. I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying it. So let's move on to the next topic here. Let's go into, let's see here. What do we have? Here's one that I really am into, actually, that I've kind of floated around with. So my show, in conjunction with some friends of mine and stuff like that, giving me ideas and what things we should talk about. My show is mostly done with AI. I use AI a lot for a lot of my research and stuff like that. I use Perplexity quite a bit. Not a sponsor, not a sponsor. I use them quite a bit because so far I found them to be the most unbiased source for me to do my research. And what I do is I go in there and I put in something. So let's, like, for instance, the Supreme Court cases. I'll put in the AI tool, give me a update on Supreme Court cases, involving blank, whatever, FEC. And it'll spit out a short summary, and then it'll give me where it got all those resources from. And I go and I look at those resources and formulate my own opinion. I don't just take it at face value, but AI has been a very good tool. Now, why are we talking about AI? I think AI is going to have a huge impact in politics in the future, and specifically elections and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, today I just read an article today about how AI can influence better than advertisements for political parties, all political parties. It can help persuade people in whatever direction that the AI tool is having them try to persuade them. So the problem with AI is it's not unbiased, not yet, right? It's all still there with the programmers. The programmers are the ones that still write the rules at the end of the day. So if you have a left-leaning programmer programming AI, then you're going to probably get left-leaning results at the end of the day. So you have to learn how to cut through all of that and read things for yourself. Like I said, I use Perplexity, not a sponsor, because they don't really seem to lean left or right. So I use them quite a bit, and they actually give me the statistics that I want at the end of the day and formulate my own opinions. So I recommend them, by the way, if you're looking for an AI tool. They do have a free one, but the paid one is great. It opens up research options and creation tools and stuff like that. So I really think that we're going to see AI more involved in politics now, starting now. And I actually have something here real quick. Let me pull it up real quick for you guys. Here we go. Okay. So this is from MIT Technology Review. I highly recommend going back and reading it. They actually have some really good points in there. So what they did is at the university, they brought up chatting with politically biased AI models was more effective than political advertisements at nudging both Democrats and Republicans to support presidential candidates of the opposing party. The chatbots swayed opinions by citing facts and evidence, but they're not always accurate. In fact, the researchers found the most persuasive models said the most untrue things. So that's why you have to be careful with AI. I think AI is the future. Like I said, it does a whole lot for my show. And as a one-man show for the most part, it really helps me quite a bit, shaves a lot of time because I'm one man. I have limited time. But I've had to learn how to cut, even in perplexity, right? I've had to learn to cut through kind of what it's summarizing and actually look at the research. But it does help me it does point me in the general direction. It does give me good ideas and good research for the topics I'm looking for. So, I think this is important. Now, here's the other thing. At some point, I think, oh, sorry about that. My guard dog was sounding off there. At some point, I really think that AI is going to become truthful. At some point, I really think that AI is going to learn on its own, right? As time goes on, it starts to kind of code itself and stuff like that. These articles are really interesting. And I think it's going to start telling the truth. So if you put in something that is left or right leaning, it's going to actually spit out the facts. So let's just use the second election for Donald Trump that he didn't win, that Joe Biden won. If you put in there, did Joe Biden win the election? It might actually spit out numbers and say, well, there's actually some discrepancies and stuff like that. So I think the left is actually going to be scared of AI at the end of the day, because eventually it's going to start telling the truth, right? You're already seeing that in platforms like Perplexity and stuff like that, because there is information out there that it's going to pull from, and it's going to say, well, wait a minute, this wasn't right. These results weren't right. So, it's going to be really interesting to see if you start seeing the left to at some point start pushing for AI to be heavily regulated or taken out of election advertising and stuff like that. I think we're going to see that sooner rather than later. I think it's going to be interesting too at the end of the day. So, I think possibly by the next presidential election, heck, even if not for the midterms, you're going to start seeing people start screaming because AI is going to start telling the truth, and people are actually going to be able to see the resources. So I think AI is the best and latest technology, and I think it's going to be helpful, and I think it's going to take us leap years ahead of where we are right now as a civilization. I really do. But I think we have to be careful and make sure that it's putting out truly unbiased information, right? I don't want a Republican programming in AI. I don't want a Democrat only programming the AI. I want an unbiased opinion in these programs. Now, obviously, you can't stop, a Republican programming, Democrat programming at the end of the day, but you have to check their work and make sure that they are putting in an unbiased opinion and giving you the information so you can formulate an opinion on your own at the end of the day. Is AI going to be used for political advertisements and stuff like that? Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's going to use it. That's fine. I'm cool with that. Like I said, I use AI all the time. I love it. But when it comes to people formulating an opinion and learning, it needs to be unbiased at the end of the day. So, as I always say, do your own research and formulate your own opinions, and don't get caught into just the clickbait and stuff like that. If you see something like, Donald Trump bad, click on the article and actually look at the research. Was he really bad, or were they just saying he was bad just to get clicks and stuff like that, and hoping you would not look at all of the research and just take them at their word and get swayed for the next election? So that's my update on AI. What do you guys think about that? What do you think the implications are for the future of AI? Do you think that this is going to be something that's going to be helpful, it's going to hurt us, or it's just kind of there? What do you guys think? Drop a comment. This is an interesting subject, and I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole with it and try to learn more and stuff like that. So, please drop some comments. I really want to talk about this more with my audience and with anybody that's willing to talk about it. And if there are any AI experts out there, let me know, man. I'd be happy to talk to you. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's see what the implications are. I'm not a tech whiz by any means, so I really would like somebody to talk to on this. All right. So that's AI. And like I said, I think it's a good thing, but we got to keep an eye on it. So, all right. let's move into, so let's go into the United States seizure of an oil tanker off the Venezuela coast. I got a little snip here for you. Let's go ahead and pull that up here real quick.
Just announced that the U.S. has seized an oil tanker off the coast of the South American nation. The CBC's Katie Nicholson joins us now live from Washington. So, Katie, what more do we know about this tanker seizure?
Well, Andrew, information's pretty limited right now. Bloomberg did report this first, and then it was confirmed by the president at 3 o'clock today at this roundtable he's hosting, still ongoing. This is a little bit of what Donald Trump said at that moment.
It's been an interesting day from the standpoint of news. As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually.
Always the largest.
And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people.
So these other things that you hear him sort of reference there, a lot of people wondering what is meant by that. Of course, there's been a lot of speculation about a possible ground incursion into Venezuela. The president himself sort of floating that idea a number of times. Reuters has been reporting that this action against the tanker was led by the U.S. Coast Guard. Reuters also reporting that that tanker had been sanctioned for what the Americans said was involvement in Iranian oil trading when it went under.
So that's what's important there, guys, is that this vessel was already sanctioned by the U.S. government. So they seized it because it was in violation of those sanctions, because of its ties to their Iranian oil and stuff like that. So it's important to know that we didn't just go take the tanker because we wanted oil. We wanted because it is feeding oil to the damn terrorists at the end of the day. Okay. So if anybody's speaking out against this, do you want to give our enemies oil? No, you don't, right? Oil is infrastructure, money, and all that good stuff. We don't want to fund terrorism at the end of the day. I am completely okay with this. I think that is great. Along with blowing up all those narco boats there in the water, let's go, keep doing it. Keep blowing them up. And speaking of the boats, why would anybody not be okay with that? If anybody on the left is saying, oh, this is, he's a war criminal, and now there's, somebody said Pete Hegseth is now the largest serial killer in U.S. history because, he's ordering all these strikes and stuff like that. What is your problem, people, why are you okay with these guys bringing drugs into our country and killing our citizens? And, I'm not even talking about the human trafficking part of things, right? I'm talking about drugs right now. That's a problem, too. Why are you okay with that? Why are you okay? Look, I'm a first responder. I've seen overdoses. I've seen people die from it. Why are you okay with it? It is a problem in this country. And if we can cut it off at the source before it even reaches our shores, why wouldn't we do that? Who cares what Venezuela thinks? I really don't care. I don't care what they think. If they cared, then they would stop the ship from coming out and, headed our way, and they're saying it's a fishing boat. I've seen pictures of these boats. They have, big blue drums in them and stuff like that. There's no fishing equipment. They're full of narcotics, you ass. Why are you okay with this on the left? Why are you okay with this? Every single one of them. If you're partaking in those illegal activities that are going to kill U.S. citizens, they are murderers, and they deserve the fate that they get at the end of the day. You want to know how not to get blown out of the water by the U.S. military? Don't bring drugs into our country. That's how easy it is. It's that simple. It's so easy. Don't commit the crime. That's all you have to do. So, with this oil tanker here, some people are saying, is it the prelude to a war or something like that? I don't know. I'm not really worried about a war with Venezuela. They don't really have a military that's a threat to us in any way, shape, or form. I don't think Venezuela actually, even though they're talking tough right now, I don't think they want to pick a fight with the U.S. They know that they would get absolutely obliterated at the end of the day. All they have to do is rein in the bad guys on their side before they even start heading our way, and then it won't be a problem. That's all they have to do. And if they're not going to do it, the U.S. has shown that we're willing to do it, and we are going to do it at the end of the day. So Is it going to be a war? I don't know. I hope it's not. I don't want war. Nobody wants war. War is bad at the end of the day. But I mean, if it comes to it, I'm going to support it. I don't want our citizens dying by the hundreds of thousands every year by these drugs coming into our country. I mean, we stopped a lot of that because we shut down the southern border pretty much under this administration. And now we're blowing the damn boats out of the water. So we are, you're seeing a trend in the right direction with less people dying already from these narcotics. Results, people. After results, why are you still wanting these people to not be blown out of the water? Again, just don't bring drugs into our country, and hey, we'll be okay. That's all you got to do. It's that easy. So that's the oil tanker. I'm still watching that. It's still kind of developing. Maybe we'll get some more out of it. But hey, I don't want to fund the terrorists that are wanting our death at the end of the day. So I'm okay with it. How about you guys? Drop some comments. Let me know how you feel about that. Are you okay with us effectively maybe launching a blockade on Venezuela, which this could be, stop them from importing drugs and giving oil to our enemies at the end of the day? I am. Stop it at the source. Why do we need to wait till it comes into our shores and our local neighborhoods? Drop some comments on that, guys. I really would appreciate it. All right, so let's move into the next topic here. So we're going to get into some local stuff here in Virginia. That's where I live. And I think Virginia is kind of an important state. We're all blue now, sadly, with this last governor's election. And like I said before, if Donald Trump can shrink the federal government, maybe we can get some of those yahoos out of Northern Virginia, and maybe we can actually be red again. That would be fantastic. That's pretty much the only damn reason that we're blue is because of Northern Virginia and Virginia Beach and Richmond and Charlottesville. But Northern Virginia is like the biggest chunk. If we basically got rid of all those federal workers and shipped them out all over the country, then, we had a chance of being red again. But, excuse me. So let's go ahead and get into this here real quick. So one of the things that just came about, so we're going to talk about Spanberger and Jay Jones, mostly Jay Jones on this one. One of the things that just came out is that the Republican Attorney General and allies are pushing national law enforcement, legal, and advocacy groups to cut ties with the Virginia AG, Jay Jones, on denying him membership and support, citing his violent text messages about GOP leaders and their children as disqualifying. Yep, huge fan of that. Absolutely, huge fan of that. Here, let me pull that up for you guys here real quick. So yeah, here it is right here. You can see it. Here, let me get my camera off there so you can see the whole thing real quick. There you go. So the Republican Attorney General's Association is calling on Jay Jones to immediately withdraw from the Virginia Attorney General's race following today's story about, so this is going back to October. And they just kind of updated that again today where they don't want him to be a part of any of the national groups. I am absolutely a huge fan of that. Let's go ahead and sanction him essentially at the end of the day. This guy is, he's an ass. He is an absolute ass. We already did a podcast on his text messages, basically being okay with death to his opponents and death to his, guess what? They were Republican that he was hoping death for. Oh, there's a shocker there. Not like we have that problem here on the right. Hoping for death on his, on the right and their children. So he took it one step further. This guy, Virginia, I am so disappointed in you right now, the state of Virginia. I am so disappointed in the state I live in right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is a day where I'm proud that I was born in Texas and not in Virginia, because I don't think Texas would ever vote a jackass like that into office. At least I hope they wouldn't. But I'm disappointed in you, Virginia. All the time that you on the left are saying, violence is bad and mean tweets are bad and all that. You have this guy here saying, he wants people dead on the right and their families, including children. I'm disappointed in you. You seem to be, for a party that is, supposed to not be violent, you're awfully damn violent at the end of the day. And y'all need to cut that out because eventually somebody's going to get pissed off. Why do you keep picking on the right? Why do you keep picking on us? We have all the guns. This isn't a threat, by the way, but we have all the guns. You know, at the end of the day, God, geez, I hope it never happens. But if there was ever a civil war between the right and the left, do you know who you're picking a fight with? I mean, hell, there are just rednecks in my county that are geared up, ready to go for this. They've been living their whole life for this. They have more guns in the county I live in, probably than, all of California and all these other left-leaning states. I mean, for God's sakes, guys, do you have any idea what you're doing? You have no idea. And the easy thing is, you just have to leave us alone. That's all you have to do. You just have to leave us alone and not mess with our children. And we'd let you go about destroying yourselves. That's fine. We don't care at the end of the day. So that's the Jay Jones thing. Is anything going to come of that? I have no idea. I hope it does, but who knows? Not in Virginia. Nothing's going to happen in Virginia. Like I said, we've gone blue, but maybe on the national level, they'll get him kicked out of these groups and stuff and kill his credibility and make it just to the point where he really can't do anything. That would be great. So we'll see what happens there. Not a whole lot on Spanberger. She's set to roll out a detailed affordability plan next week aimed at lowering energy costs and housing costs, building on her Affordable Virginia agenda and earlier proposals to cut utility bills and make homes more attainable for the middle class families. Yeah, sorry guys. Her agenda is to, by doing that, is to raise taxes. All right. I don't know about you, but in Virginia, especially in the county I live in, I'm not going to tell you what county, it's taxes, the property taxes are damn expensive. And, how is she going to make energy more affordable? Well, probably going to try to subsidize things, right? Because that's what they like to do. They like to subsidize everything on the left. Oh, we'll subsidize housing, so I'll make it more affordable. Who pays for the subsidies? It's the taxpayers. Therefore, raising your taxes. So yeah, sure. Maybe you get a couple grand off your house when you go to buy it when she's the governor. Ooh, yay, great. But your taxes went up. I need people on the left to use their brains and understand nothing is free. Healthcare's not free. Somebody's got to pay for it. Housing's not free. Food is not free. All the things they want to be free, it's not free. We don't live in a utopia where everything is free. You have to pay for stuff. And if you give Joe Blow a free house, then Joe Blow B has to pay for it in his taxes, i.e. me or anybody else that pays taxes. So our taxes go up. Use your brain, guys. Use your brain. Learn economics, like the elementary school level. Somebody has to pay for it. Nothing is free. Use your brains. So, guys, that's all I have. I kind of had some rants today. I don't know. Maybe my best show. Maybe not my best show. What do you guys think? Drop some comments for me. I really do appreciate it. And I need some ideas for my next show. I really lean on you guys I want to hear what you guys want to talk about. I'll go and try to research it the best I can and bring it up in the next show. This is a two-way street, man. I really want interaction with you guys. And yeah, if you don't mind also subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Rumble at 1732 Streaming. You can also follow us on Facebook, Streaming John. That's where I interact with you guys the most with comments, chats, and all that good stuff. And if you want to see some of our gaming content, you can follow us on all those platforms, plus JK1732A on Twitch. We do Fortnite, Halo, NASCAR 25, and my kid really loves to stream Roblox. So if you want to see some of that action there, follow us there. Do me a favor, guys. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe. And I will catch you in the next episode of Freedom Circuit that we'll do sometime next week before we go on vacation, where I'll probably be off for about a week, maybe 2 weeks or something like that. I'll try to throw some shorts out there for you guys so you can follow our progress. Maybe we'll just put some non-political stuff up there. Maybe we'll just kind of show you the country as we travel into Texas, where I'm from, the motherland as I like to call it. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Peace.